Well, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. I'm talking really loud right now, but because I've got this wonderful mic, it doesn't sound like I'm talking really loud. And if you talk to anybody that knows me personally, I'm a really loud person. And it's quite funny to hear me speak, but this mic covers that all up. And I'm just thankful for a good mic. Sorry again that I'm late. This show is supposed to go on at 8. I went to work out first, get my blood and my brain working a little bit better. So I'm going to so I was like, let me reschedule the show, go work out. And then I was like, to cement one of my points, because one of my points is why the Chiefs will beat the Eagles. To cement one at like that point, I wanted to go back and watch a little bit more film from the 49ers versus Eagles game. So I went and did that. Had my post-workout meal. So had to do that. But let's say hello to a few of the people in the chat. I'll probably be streaming a little bit more, or at least try to, especially the week of the Super Bowl. And then afterwards, we have the combine, we have free agency. So I want to stream a little bit more. I want to get Ryan G. Hensley, he's the 49ers content creator, on the show this next Wednesday. So hopefully I can do that. And then we'll discuss Super Bowl and everything else like that. So, and then I also want to, there's an interview that I have with, that I want to get. There's a guy that I want to get on. He is a draft prospect in this year's draft. He's an offensive lineman. He very well could be picked by the 49ers. And if he is, I would be like one of the only people, if I can get this guy on, I would be one of the only people who has this guy's interview. Like this guy has literally been interviewed by like one person. So if he gets drafted by the 49ers and every 49ers fan wants to know who he is, my if you type up his name, my show will be at the top right there if you type up his name. So if I can get this guy on, I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but if I can get this guy on within the next few weeks, that's going to be really exciting. He's an offensive lineman. That's all I'll tell you. From a small school, but was an All-American last year in college. So Grandizer, let's say what's up to the chat. Grandizer12, loyal supporter. Hey Benji, how are you doing? How are you? How's school? How's track? How's life? Not doing track. Gonna start that in about a month. Doing basketball. Life is pretty good. I don't really like school right now, but like who does? So, um, eating Mexican food, watching the 2000s sci-fi movie called Firefly, and listening to the Camper Report. If it were any cooler, this night would literally implode on its own coolness. Well, thank you, Grandizer. That's very nice of you. Hopefully you're still here. And in the future, I'll try to be a little bit more early. Bro is late. That's my friend Andrew Griniger. And then there's a bunch of Kiera Iverson. What the fuck? What's up, youngster? Have an awesome show. Thank you, Niner Sickness Podcast. I need to get you on again. It's been a while. Maybe we can, maybe I'll organize a little round table like next Saturday or next Wednesday, and I'll have some 49ers content creators getting on talking about the Super Bowl, the future of the franchise, which is what we will be talking about today. I don't think I'll be talking about the coaching hires. I didn't really prepare for that too well, but I will. So let's get this show started off. And let's start off with what's next for the 49ers. And I'm going to basically lay out a few guys, or one guy that I've been looking at in the draft. And he's a very interesting name. He's a guy that the 49ers could get. He's from a small school, All-American player. He's a guy that the 49ers could get in the later rounds of the draft. They primarily have later picks. They have like 3/3, 3/5. They don't have 4th-round picks. They have like a 6th and 3/7 or something. So a lot of late round picks. I think they have 11 or 12 picks. So it'd be like 3/3. I don't know if they get that comp pick for the general manager guy that went to the Tennessee Titans. Do they get that this year? Chat, let me know, because if they do, then they would have like 3 third-round picks. Obviously, they get I don't know if they get a D'Amico Ryans comp pick this year or next year. So I'm not sure about that either. But they would have 3 third-round picks. I think in my understanding, 3 third-round picks, 3 fifth-round picks, 2 sixes, and 3 sevenths. I think that's about right. So what's next for the Niners? I think, okay, so let me lay out a guy that the 49ers should get in free agency. I think he would be the most, I think he's not the greatest, but he's like better than Mike McGlinchey. He's not like Trent Williams level. I looked into all the right tackles going into the draft and going into free agency, and it's really not that great. Now, a top right tackle that is going into the NFL draft is Billy Turner. And although this guy's not the greatest, he does so he a lot of times what the 49ers, right, or any offensive lineman on their team, they never can stay healthy. Well, and you guys have heard of Billy Turner, played for the Broncos last year, played for the Packers before that. Um, this guy is a healthy player. Played 88% of the snaps last year. In 2021, he played 95% of the snaps in 2021. Only allowed 19 pressures in 2022 with the Broncos, 6 hits and 2 sacks, and then he had 1 penalty throughout the whole year. I want to compare that to, let me quickly look at Mike McGlinchey's stats. Mike McGlinchey, PFF. Now, PFF doesn't determine everything. But let me just, okay, so Mike McGlinchey had 10 penalties, 6 sacks allowed to compare to Billy Turner's 2 sacks. And then he had, let me look at the hits. 3 hits allowed. So he had less hits than Billy Turner, but he had 6 sacks. Billy Turner only had 2 sacks allowed. Total pressures allowed. Mike McGlinchey had 27 pressures, and Billy Turner had 19 pressures. So Billy Turner's definitely not better, I would say. Well, he's better than Mike McGlinchey. And then I looked at Trent Williams' stats, and Trent Williams was way better than both of those guys, according to BFF. Obviously, we know that because he's one of the best left tackles in the league. But, Billy Turner would be an upgrade. Last year, he only got signed to a $2.5 million deal by the Broncos. He played pretty well this year, so I'd assume it would be higher. But the 49ers cap situation isn't great this year. So they're looking for guys that are like, I think Billy Turner, I don't know if he would be they're looking for wave 2 free agent guys. I think Billy Turner's a wave 2 free agent guy. He's not the greatest right tackle. Really, the right tackle market, I didn't have it on my paper, but top right tackles in the NFL free agency. I was looking it up before the show. Let me look at, okay, so we have George Fant for the New York Jets. We have Mike McGlinchey. Obviously, we all know him. Billy Turner, Jawan James, Jawan Taylor, David Quessenberry for Buffalo. You have Jawan Taylor for Chargers. For Jacksonville. And you have Jawan James for Baltimore. All of these right tackles, no big names there. So it's not a that deep right tackle free agency. So, I guess there will be teams like, I don't know if there's going to be that much recognition on this right tackle free agency. And because of that, the 49ers might be able to snag Billy Turner for less money. Or it could go the other way, that because there's not as many good right tackles in this free agency, then the 49ers are going to have to play a bidding war for Billy Turner. So it kind of goes both ways. But I would say that, I think that's a top guy would be an upgrade over Mike McGlinchey. And another thing that I think now, obviously, I don't know. I think the 49ers might go the route of this is kind of what they did last year, or not really, but I think the 49ers might go the route of you draft, they might this year draft as many right tackles as they can in the draft, because they know that they have a lot of later round picks. Later round picks are kind of hit or miss. Like, you could get lucky, but you could also miss on a lot of later round picks, right? The 49ers, I think, are going to do that same thing. You could see the 49ers drafting 2 or more players of the same position in one draft. And it's basically just like they're going to throw as many, basically the saying of they're going to throw as much mud at the wall and see if it sticks. Like they're going to try to just throw as many darts at the wall and see if they stick. And if one of them sticks, great. So I could see them getting 2 right tackles in one draft. So maybe they go that route. Now, here's the thing where I think it's super important. I think if you're the 49ers, you have to learn from your mistakes. And that mistake is maybe invest a little bit more in your right side. You've literally gotten 4 quarterbacks injured all from the right side. Doesn't that say something? So I think the 49ers have to invest a little bit more. They can't just go into the draft and say, hey, we're going to draft 2 right tackles and hopefully one of them turns out, hopefully one of them becomes a star. And if it does, if they do become a star, then that's great. But you have to, what I'm saying is the 49ers, I think this year, they've always with the offensive line, they've always drafted guys. They've never really gotten out, except for Mike McGlinchey. They've never actually gotten out and gotten a guy in free agency that is bigger. So I think you have to invest a little bit more this year. You have to go against what you previously have done. You have to invest a little bit more this year in talent that is in free agency, known talent. Because Billy Turner's a pretty old tackle. I mean, he goes back to 2014, so I think he's like 31. But he's still, I think he's better than Mike McGlinchey. He stays healthy a lot of the year, as I laid out. And he's a decent right tackle. So you have to, I think, invest through free agency than the draft, because that always doesn't work. And especially since you don't have a lot, you have later round picks. You don't have a surefire prospect that you're drafting because they're later round picks. So, I mean, a 5th round pick that you draft could be worse than Mike McGlinchey. Do you really want to roll those dice in the draft? I say go through free agency, and I say try to make a run at Billy Turner. Give him 6-7 million. Or maybe even less. I mean, he might go for less than that because he went for 2.5 last year. So, but that's something. But let's go into a little bit. I said the 49ers. Here's the thing. I think what I would do is I would get a right tackle in free agency, and then I would draft one guy besides that right tackle to kind of back him up. And if they don't do that, then if they just draft offensive lineman and don't get a right tackle in free agency, then here's a guy that I think they could get in round 5. He's projected in round 5. His name is Joey Fisher. Now, no, he's not. He's not related to Eric Fisher, so I don't think he is. At least he played at Shepherd University. Look it up, Shepherd University in West Virginia. It's actually a D2 division, but he was an All-American. So he was one of the best players to come out of a D2 school. So my scouting report of him, and he's projected to go in the round 5 of the NFL draft. Joey Fisher. He's a very strong dude. He's 6'5", 322 pounds. Now, I tried to look up what his 40 time was, because what the 49ers like to do, they like to get guys who are slightly smaller but can move and are fast, right? I think if you're Joey Fisher, you're 6'5", 322 pounds, it's really, if he does attend the combine, which if he were smart, yes, he would, because he's a player from a small school, and so he needs to make himself a little bit more known. If he does attend the combine, then right tackle Joey Fisher, we're going to be able to see what his 40 time is. So we don't have a 40 time right now, but if he's 322 pounds and can move and has a pretty fast 40 time, then the 49ers, then I would say great. But 49ers right tackles, at least, have to be able to move. They have to be a little bit smaller and a little bit faster. So my thing with him is you have to he if he were to go to the NFL and be a starting right tackle, he has to drop weight, maybe get down to like 290, 300 instead of 322 pounds. And I mean, I look at his film, right? He was a 3-year he started 3 years. He's a senior, so he's experienced. He started 3 years at this college. Um and he's a big dude. He's a big dude. But one thing that I saw is he's a really good run blocker because he's powerful and he mauls people, but not very good at like he's not very mobile because he's a huge dude. So like if he can cut some weight, maybe get a little bit more mobility, then he could maybe run the Kyle Shanahan offense, and I could see him being in this offense. But right now, it's like he's going to have to drop some weight. But we'll see what he can do at the combine. Let me know, guys, because my camera is, I mean, from my end, it looks like it's tweaking here at the top. It's like blinking 5. I don't know what's going on. So let me know if that's an issue with you guys on your end. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy who you could take a flyer on round 5, and he's a small school dude. The 49ers are known for getting these guys who are not known, unknown guys, later round picks. But guys like Joey Fisher are even more determined because they know, okay, I went to a small school and I don't have very many teams looking at me. So I have to work my ass off to get recognized in the NFL. So if he can work his ass off, maybe he'll work his ass off and gain a starting job in the NFL. But yeah, very intriguing prospect. Look him up, right tackle Joey Fisher from Shepherd University in West Virginia. Huge dude. I mean, just pancakes everyone. But like, he's pancaking defensive ends, but those are D2 defensive ends. Like, you go to the NFL, you're going to get stronger, faster, bigger dudes. You're going to have to cut some weight if you're going to keep up with those guys. Let's see. For Ran, they got I think they got, so he's talking about Ran, I think it was like the assistant GM, and he went to the Tennessee Titans to become a GM. So for Ran, they get 1/3 this year. For Ryan's not until 2025. Oh my God. So, okay, so they do have 3 third-round picks this year then. I get you. Adrian Luna, what's up? Broncos Super Bowl 2024. Damian Lee, what's up, faithful? Good to have some people in here because I haven't streamed in a while, and usually when that happens, I don't have very many people in here. But I'll get some guests going either next week or this Wednesday. So watch out for that. Joey Fisher, the chess player. No, look up Joey Fisher, Shepherd University. Look him up. Shepherd University highlights. Huge dude. Huge dude. And shout out to my brother because he actually got me onto this guy. And I guess since I've already like kind of talked about him, that's the guy that I'm going to try to bring on my show. He has a Twitter and he doesn't have very many followers. His DMs are open. So I'll probably try to get him on soon because that would be an interesting guy to get on. And if he gets drafted by the Niners, then I'll be like one of the first guys to have an interview with him. And then everyone's going to be looking him up, and I'll be like one of the only people to have an interview with him. So it's going to show up on every feed, every person's feed. Niners still suck and they ain't winning Super Bowls. Yeah, that's actually true. I'm kind of pissed at my team too. I don't know who you are, but you're spitting facts. Thank you, Grandizer. Ben, are you playing? He's meaning, are you playing with us next Wednesday? Probably. I'd say so. That was a good win though against Cedar Edge last week. That was pretty fun to say the least. Okay, moving on. Chiefs. Why will the Chiefs win? This is going to be a tight game. They're playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl, as you guys all know. And man, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a high scoring game, I believe, but let me know what you guys think. I think It's going to be tight. It's going to be high scoring. But this is why I think the Eagles will lose or it'll be close. And I think the Chiefs will eventually pull it out. For one, what we saw with the 49ers, especially late in that game, and I know the 49ers were playing with no quarterback, so the defense just got tired out. And I freaking hate, like, I've talked to so many Eagles fans this week. On Out of Pocket Sports, I appeared on Out of Pocket Sports on Thursday with Michael Davis and this Eagles fan. And all these Eagles fans are talking like, oh, we scored 31 points on the best defense in the NFL. We're so good, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, the first 4 drives of the game, when it actually mattered, because we actually had a third and a fourth string quarterback, not Christian McCaffrey, our defense was locking you guys up. So I hate the shit that is coming out of Eagles camp that is like all trying to flex their muscles. And I'm like, dude, it's all not real. Like, that was super, I don't know where they're getting it from. So anyways, I think the Eagles, that first drive, I went back and watched that first drive. And how do you beat the Eagles? And this is really how the 49ers defense played the Eagles early in that game. Was they did a lot of disguised blitzes, and they blitzed quite a bit to get to Jalen Hurts, because he's a young quarterback. He hasn't played very many playoff games, and he's going to get rattled. They knew that. And early in that game, Jalen Hurts was rattled, okay? That is how the Chiefs defense likes to play a lot of games. They like to blitz. Steve Spagnuolo is one of the most aggressive defensive coaches in the league. They like to blitz. They like to get after quarterbacks. And another thing, the 49ers, now, I obviously have gotten off on a rabbit trail, but what I originally was saying was the 49ers, they aren't very big in the middle. And so the Eagles late in that game were able to just run the ball on them, and that was it. Like, it was over. The game was over. But the Chiefs, even though they don't have the greatest run defense, they're like middle of the pack. They're really not that good on run defense. The Chiefs do have they have a bigger defensive line than the 49ers. They have Chris Jones in the middle, the best defensive tackle in the league. Sorry, Aaron Donald, because I don't think he's the best anymore. But they have Chris Jones, the best defensive tackle in the league, and they have Noddy. I can't remember his first name. Those two guys are big dudes. So physically, I think the Eagles' offensive line is not going to be able to push them around. And across the board, I think the Chiefs' defensive line is better than the 49ers defensive line. Here's why. You have Frank Clark. That guy's a Pro Bowler, okay? On the other side, you have obviously Chris Jones in the middle. You have Noddy in the middle. And then on the other side, you have Karlaftis as well. Look him up. He's a really good defensive end. So you have Frank Clark and Karlaftis at the 2 defensive ends, and then you have Chris Jones and Noddy in the middle. That's a really good defensive line. I think across the board, that is a better defensive line than the 49ers defensive line is. Now, their secondary isn't as good. Their linebackers aren't as good. But we saw in that game, early in the 49ers game, if you can just get to Jalen Hurts and set the edge so he can't scramble out and run, if you can set the edge, get to Jalen Hurts and blitz and do disguise blitzes, rattle him a little bit like the 49ers would do. They looked like they were rushing like 7 people, and then they drop back 2 linebackers in the middle. And you can see, like, I think it was one of the first plays of the game. They did that, and Jalen Hurts was rattled early in that game. All of his throws were inaccurate. I mean, the Devontae Smith that should have been ruled a dropped catch was not a good throw. It was just an amazing catch that that Devontae Smith dropped, but it was still an amazing feat that Jalen Hurts was able to go up and get that ball. So it's like Jalen Hurts was not good early in that game when the 49ers defense was actually when the 49ers were actually competitive. So I think that's how you beat the Eagles. My brothers are not going to like it, but I think the speed, like the Chiefs like to play a speedy brand of defense. And even though they're not as good as the 49ers defense, I think they're bigger up front than the 49ers defensive line. And they can maybe match up. They can get to Jalen Hurts. If they can do that, I mean, I don't know. I think they can win this game. Um, okay, so let's get into a little bit of the comments and then we'll get out of here. Where do you think Joey Fisher will go in the draft? I've not seen his name at all. I haven't either until my brother brought him up. But go look him up. He has a few highlight reels on YouTube. Too bad I can't play his highlights right now. I would get taken off for what is it? I would get taken off for oh my gosh, copyright. Copyright. There it is. But I could maybe buy some of his film. So maybe I'll try to buy some of his film and look into him more. Where do you think he'll go? Well, he's projected to go in the 5th round. So I'm saying 5th round. He's a flyer, sleeper guy that if he can drop some weight, he would be a really good right tackle in the NFL. He's a really strong dude, though. The Eagles are winning, Ben, not the Chiefs, okay? You're just mad the Eagles raped. I think he was not craped, but raped on your team. Stop hating, okay? I see Joey Fisher on Draft Tech. He is a recent addition, listed as UDFA right now. Okay, so let me give you if you're still there, Grandizer, let me give you a little, so there's this guy who wrote a really good article. His name, well, it's prospect summary, and it's called thedraftnetwork.com. And this guy grades him as a fifth round pick. So fifth round value. So yeah. Exotic can't spell. Oh, I don't know what he's meaning there. I mean Joey Fisher projected UDFA right now comes the draft. Let's see if his stock keeps rising. I need to read that again. I mean, Joey Fisher projected UDFA right now comes the draft. Let's see if his stock keeps rising. Here, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, if he were smart, he would go to the combine and then he could raise some eyebrow. Like if he runs a fast 40 time if he's decently mobile, I could see the 49ers getting a chance because they like mobile tackles that can get out in front and can block. I feel the Eagles have a minus 4% chance of winning the Super Bowl and probably a 4% chance of making it to the playoffs. Next year making it to the playoffs. Okay. They do have a lot of free agents. That's the one thing. The Eagles now, here's the thing. Here's the great thing. Well, here's why the Eagles, I think, are set for a few years to come. See, they have a lot of free agents next year, like this next year in free agency. They have a lot of free agents. Well, they have a lot of players set to become free agents, but they also have like 2 first-round picks this year. So all the free agents that they lose, they'll just replace with top-end draft talent. So it's like they're kind of in a really good position. Ben, are there any rumors of any quarterbacks that the 49ers showing interest in? They see to have a great eye in seeking out lower round draft picks. I'm going to have to get back to you. The draft is in a few months. The combine is in a few weeks. So probably in my next show, I will definitely have a topic about that. I'm going to keep looking into it. They should definitely have their eye on Joey Fisher. But I know that they need definitely they have Tashawn Gibson set to become a free agent. They have Jimmy Ward set to become a free agent. So they're going to need definitely some secondary help. Okay, so one other thing that I quickly, before it escapes my mind, one other thing that I do want to say about why I think the Chiefs secondary will be fine. A lot of people, that's the knock on their team. Their secondary sucks. The 49ers secondary has not been that good in the later parts of this season. So it's like, and the 49ers secondary in the first half of that game was doing really well. So if their secondary is doing really well, then I think the Chiefs secondary is going to be able to keep up as long as they can get pressure on Jalen Hurts. That Eagles offense early in that game was so bland. Tyson Bagent Shepard. No, sorry. Tyson Shepard. I don't know what he's meaning there, but Tyson Bagent, seventh UDFA is the only name I have see out of Shepard. I don't know what the fudge she's meaning. Lay it on me, Benny. Okay, that's what she said. I hope I don't get taken off of YouTube for that, but that's what she said. Yeah, all these college football prospects site are all over. One site will say 5th round, the next says UDFA. Brock Purdy had that last year. I see him 4th rounder, others UDFA. Yeah, that's a good point. Like Brock Purdy was projected 3rd round at one site. It really just depends who you go to. And you want to get a site that is as close to the players as possible. There is one interview with there's actually okay, so there's this guy who wrote an article and I haven't read it yet, and I'll continue to because in the later shows, like I'm gonna probably get this guy on my show or try to at least. So in the later shows, I'm gonna probably as long like the more I hear about this guy, I'm going to update you guys more. There's a guy who wrote an article, and it was basically he's done an interview with this guy, and he's basically summarizing the interview. So I'm gonna go back and read it, and I'll probably tweet it. I'll probably put it out as a YouTube short, and I'll let you guys know what I think. That's going to be very interesting. What the guy who's like this guy who's actually interviewed him, he wrote a article on what he thinks this guy will go, like what round he thinks this guy will go. And the people that have actually talked to the guy, the people who have actually sat down with the guy are the people that you should read and listen to because they know firsthand what he's like, if you guys know what I mean. I thought the 49ers secondary were all banged up. Yeah. Lenore has actually been playing pretty well, but yes, we literally lost like 2. We had lost Emmanuel Mosley and Jason Verrett. So yes, it was pretty banged up. Tyson Badgent, QB out of Shepherd, like the college. Okay, so is it the same college as where Joey Fisher went to? Okay, so he's the only name I've seen out of Shepherd. Okay, now I understand. Okay, interesting. So both guys going to the draft. Okay, well, all I want to say is Joey Fisher did get All-American honors, so he's obviously a pretty big player. I mean, if this Tyson Badgent guy is the only guy that you hear about out of that college, then you should also look up Joey Fisher because he was All-American. I love to hear prospect names that we don't hear about. Okay, yeah, I mean, Joey Fisher is definitely one of the guys that like you guys will not hear about. Maybe I'll get on Grant Cohn's show and be like, "Yo, you should look this guy up." I did that last year. Grant Cohn is the ultimate facilitator. If you want to get something out there, you let him know. And then like one time I let him know about this Marcus Jones guy from cornerback last year out of Houston. I don't know who he went to. I think it was the Titans. And Grant Cohn loved that player, and then every time I texted in his chat from that time forward, he always like was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's really good." Like, shout out the Camper Report for bringing this to my attention. So great dude. But yeah, he's really if you want to make your name known about like a certain like if you want to mention a certain player, just go to Grant Cohn and he's gonna like make that player known. Yes, Shepherd University, same college for Badgent and Joey Fisher. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah. So those are some interesting. Maybe in the coming weeks after the combine, I should actually make that a note on my paper. In the coming weeks, maybe I should make a list of the top 15 players the 49ers that I think the 49ers should draft in this year's draft. I should do that. So like top 15 players that the 49ers should consider drafting in the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, which is the rounds that they have picks in. Hold on. I'm just making a note of that because Benny, which college do you follow? Any prospects that you like there? Sorry. I follow Michigan. So I think Ronnie Bell, receiver from Michigan's going there. He's had a huge injury issue. I'm not sure what round he goes, but Ronnie Bell's a good receiver that maybe the 49ers could get. And I think he would be a later round pick. You also have, oh my gosh, what's his name? JJ McCarthy, the quarterback there, is going to stay. Michigan is always like the school that produces a ton of offensive linemen this like every year. So they're a very good offensive lineman school. You want a good offensive lineman, go there. I think their center is going to the draft. He's one of the best in the country. Again, it sucks because it's like you talk about like all of these top players, top prospects in the nation. But what sucks is the 49ers can't get any of them because they don't have any first or second round picks. So it's like, damn, like it sucks. It really does suck. That you really can't like you can't bring up any top prospects because the 49ers can't get them anyways. I'm trying to think of any other ones. Oh, there is a really good defensive end for Michigan. His name is, I want to say Hilton. I'll look it up. Draft commits. So we have, oh shoot, okay. 2020 Michigan draft. 2023, okay. So we have Mike Morris, that's the defensive end that I'm talking about. We have Mike Morris, he's projected to go early second round pick. He's a defensive end, really good second round pick. Outstanding player. Look him up. We have Mozzie Smith. He's the center. He's going to go mid second round pick. I told you, like every year, the Michigan's always producing a new center to the draft. Last year, this year. So he's projected to go 83. And then we have Olu Olowetimi, solid third round prospect. He's projected to go mid third round. That's another, he's their center. And then this other guy's a guard. So we have a center and a guard going to the draft. And then we have Luke Schoonmaker, solid third round prospect. That's a guy that the 49ers like. Luke Schoonmaker is definitely a guy where if he drops to the late third round, which is where the 49ers are picking, I could see them getting Schoonmaker because you know that George Kittle's on the down of his career. So you want to get a backup who can kind of replace him. And I've watched a lot of Luke Schoonmaker, and he is a great pass catching tight end. So if the 49ers want a guy who can maybe learn behind George Kittle for a while, yeah, maybe Luke Schoonmaker if he drops them in the late third round. They have Ryan Hayes. He is a offensive lineman, I believe right tackle, solid third round prospect. That's another guy. Like the Michigan, I think has like three starting offensive linemen going to the draft. So Ryan Hayes, watch out for him. I'm going to actually, so I'll look up in the following days. I'll probably maybe try to have like a once a week show updating you guys on like the draft prospects for the 49ers. But that's a guy that the 49ers could get in the third round. Ryan Hayes, third round prospect. And then Blake Corum. That's their top running back. He got he tore his ACL, I believe, or something like that, or meniscus, but he was a Heisman candidate. Blake Corum. Really good running back. He's projected to go around third round, but he's a little bit small. I don't think the 49ers would go after him. Ayabi Oki, he is a defensive tackle. That's a third round pick. If you want a blocking tight end, then go for, or blocking and a dual threat tight end that you could probably get in like the third to fifth round. Go and get Eric All from Michigan as well. There's two tight ends going to the draft, Eric All and Luke Schoonmaker. So those are both tight ends that the 49ers could get. And then Ronnie Bell, I talked about him, adequate fifth round pick prospect. 49ers have a lot of fifth round picks. Ronnie Bell, if they want like a receiver to maybe add some depth to that room, then you could get Ronnie Bell from Michigan. So yeah, and then you obviously have the Jake Moody, one of the best kickers in college football. So those are the prospects going to the draft. There are quite a few from Michigan that the 49ers could get. Now that I look at it more, I'll continue to update you guys as I get more on these players. But yeah, Luke Schoonmaker, Eric All, both tight ends that we could get. And then we have the receiver, Ronnie Bell. He's a 5th-round pick. We could get him. The only thing with Ronnie Bell is he has had like 3 major injuries already in his college career. So yeah. The guy player that I am looking up is Reg Zone Wright, cornerback out of Oregon State, projected projected rounds 4 to 7, outside cornerback, tall, got to go with outside cornerbacks. Yes. I could see the 49ers adding depth there. But I think the 49ers their needs are strong safety. No, well, weak side safety, I'd say, because that's what Tashawn Gibson. If the 49ers don't re-sign Tashawn Gibson, even if they do, they need depth at strong safety, and they need probably a nickel corner. C. Benny and with the 49ers, their formula is top notch. They prove they don't need 1st or 2nd rounders. They develop guys. Their only issue is staying healthy. No disrespect, injury, bug. Yeah, injury. Yeah, it's the worst. That's why earlier in the show I was suggesting Billy Turner, because this guy has literally played over 80% of his snaps every year. So he's a very healthy right tackle. Get somebody who's healthy. I know. Get somebody who's healthy and that can keep the quarterback healthy and doesn't suck like Mike McGlinchey. 49ers see to have that. 49ers see to have that. If a college prospect can't cut it with the 49ers, they can't be developed anywhere else. Give the 49ers lemons and they make the best darn margaritas you ever had. I think that's a good point. I think they're very good at developing talent. The only thing is they tend to get guys who would be pretty high round picks, but because of their injury situations in college, they aren't high round picks, and they're 5th-round picks and day 3 picks because of that. So that's, I think, a lot of where the injury bug comes from. Yeah. Anyways, guys, my computer is about to die and it is not plugged in, so I'm going to let you guys get on with your evening. It is very late here, and it's obviously very late on the East Coast. So everyone, go and have a good rest of your evening. I'll probably be back hopefully on Wednesday to talk about the Super Bowl, and then hopefully on Saturday, and then continuing after the Super Bowl to just look at draft prospects, free agency, everything else. There are no breaks in football except for like maybe 2 months out of the year. That's June and July. So no breaks in football. We'll see you guys later. Man, it's going to be a fun offseason. Just sucks that we had to get literally all of our quarterbacks injured. And if you tune in, so in the community, in my community section of my channel, I posted a few days ago on Friday, or yesterday on Friday, this episode of Out of Pocket Sports with Michael Davis. And the first topic was your thoughts on Brock Purdy's future. And I basically laid out why I think all of these quarterbacks have been getting hurt and the schematic problems with the offense that is making all of these quarterbacks get hurt and what Kyle Shanahan is doing wrong. So go check that out. It was a very fun show. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see you guys later. What do you call that? High reward, high risk? Yeah, exactly. It's worked for many times with the 49ers. Have a good week, Benny. KTF, keep the faith, Benny. KTF. Oh, the Camper Report. Yeah. Oh, keep the faith. And no. Oh my gosh. Why did I just do that? The Camper. It's actually like, why did I say Camper Report? Keep the faith, Benny. I'm stupid at reading. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Have a good rest of your night. And peace out. Go Niners.